ventilator, pretty much brain dead. And his parents made the decision to pull the plug.
And that's horrible. That's how they come. They're young, vibrant, smart, good at his job, son. Had the whole everything ahead of him in life.
Well,
That's how they have to find him and see him the last time.
no parent should have to bury their children. I mean, it's just terrible.
Especially over some senseless bullshit like this.
And adding to just this devastating story is that Calpurnia Adams, on the evening that Winchell was killed, was competing for a huge title, which was the Tennessee Entertainer of the Year. It was a pageant, for these performers, and she was really excited about it. She was performing. She's crowned the winner.
Oh, so she won.
Around the same time that Fisher and Glover were planning to go beat Winchell with a bat. She didn't hear about his death until the next day on television.
Wow. That's crazy.
In the months after the murder, you would think an incident like this would really change the atmosphere and attitude at Fort Campbell, but it did not. They were finding baseball bats drawn on the bathroom walls with words like fag whacker attached.
Right, and the only reason they're finding that is because some other people feel comfortable in this environment to do that. They think it's funny.
So fucked up. A movie called Soldier's Girl came out in 2003. It was actually a Showtime movie.
Yeah.
It premiered at Sundance, and it details the story. If you're interested in learning more about the Barry Winchell story. In the wake of this, the Pentagon created a 13-point anti-harassment action plan, and William Cohen, the Secretary of Defense, ordered a review of the Don't Ask, Don't Tell policy. It wasn't repealed until 2011, which was 12 years after Winchell's murder.
Yeah, so that I saw where the Soldier Girl movie had won a Peabody Award and numerous Emmy and Golden Globe nominations. And so that was I guess a pretty damn good movie. I'll have to check that out. But yeah, and so Robert T. Clark, was he the commanding officer of the entire base, or was it just that unit?
I guess it was the entire base.
Yeah, I think it's the entire base. He was refused promotion in October 2002 and in May of 2003. And Winchell's parents were vocal critics, public critics of him. They kept the story alive about him being responsible for this toxic environment and policies on his base. But you know what? After he was exonerated, he was finally made Lieutenant General on December 5th of 2003. So they made him wait, 8 months or so? Is that not crazy?
Well, I mean, not for someone who's been in and witnessed this kind of thing, no.
Wouldn't that even if you liked the guy and thought he was doing a good job, and then all this other stuff and this public firestorm, to a degree, because hell, how it took quite a bit longer for anything to happen with actually changing the policy, and you're still going to be like, this guy is a leader? I mean, that just blows my mind.
It happens. Calpurnia Adams, if you're interested in finding out more about her, she has a website. She's written a book. She's a very vocal advocate for LGBTQ rights. She's a really interesting person.
She was a pretty interesting person, what I watched of her.
The overall case brings up an interesting discussion. I know we're getting a little wordy here, but, we're 20 years after Winchell's murder, and the LGBTQ community has won more mainstream acceptance. Gay marriage is now legal. Trans is a word that's pretty much a household word. It's not like a word that people aren't familiar with, right?
Right.
I mean, it's in the media. We know what it means. People are getting more comfortable with being able to come out and express themselves. But the focus on Winchell's relationship with Calpurnia, and I'm probably not exactly articulating this in the best way, but I think one of the parts of the story that is so sad to me is that the focus is on their relationship, and it's making like his sexuality like a focal point. And Winchell had only dated biological women before, and he didn't consider himself gay per se.
Right.
And he considered Calpurnia a woman. So I don't know. I mean, it gets blurred somewhere in there. And like I said, I'm poorly articulating what I'm trying to say here. But I just feel like they had a relationship and it meant something.
Right.
And people are trying to make it into this salacious, like, ooh, a soldier with this trans woman. And like,
Right.
and it's like, the reality is, like, they were two people who were in love and had a good thing going. Their genitals or what was going on behind closed doors really doesn't fucking matter to anybody. It shouldn't matter to anybody.
Yeah.
It's between the two of them. And I just think the fact that everybody made this out to be such a, like, salacious case is that we're, like, missing the humanity, I guess, in the details.
Well, definitely. And that's like, I think that's why it blew up into such a big story. The only reason is because of the details and the way it was being treated, what you're describing. You know what I mean? Like if it was more normal sexuality. I mean, it's just a rush to label people. I mean, people still to this day like feel like you got to label stuff. Can't it just be two people who care about each other? You know what I mean?
I'm just glad that, I guess, education is more available today and that we're moving toward being a society that's more accepting and understanding.
We are in a lot of ways, but like it's like people still feel a need to label everything. I don't believe in labels. I think it's just two humans who care for each other.
I just find this story incredibly sad, and I felt like we should talk about it here on Mountain Murders. I have a lot of feelings about it.
It is sad in so many ways, and just this policy and this type of thing, I'm sure affected a lot of people in so many different ways, and it's just a shitty policy.
Well, I'm glad the policy has changed. This guy Glover, like, you can find one of our resources today. We used we found it on YouTube, but it was the show American Justice.
Yeah,
Had an episode on this case with lots of interviews from Barry's parents, from Calpurnia, and from Glover.
that was well done. That was well done.
I mean, and the guy just, yeah.
Oh my god! But you know what makes me sick? Finally, I'll say, it took almost what 16, 15 years, or no, it's a damn 17 years for something to change, for them to change that policy after this, after the conversation, after knowing how having a prime example of this policy creating this environment where this can happen to this poor guy. 17 years to even repeal the shit.
Wow, and we've repealed it, and look, the world did not end yet, right? Our military is still functioning.
Not yet. Yeah, it's still functioning pretty good, right?
So, yeah.
Yeah. So I just can't believe it took us that long to act. That's sad, too.
Yeah, it is. Well, this has been the story of Barry Winchell. And hopefully, if you haven't heard this before, it was new to you. And, maybe you can offer up some insight into, I guess, the importance of accepting other people.
Yeah, and so moving on, it was a very sad story. And I'm so sad right now. I'm going to have to drink a coffee. But yes, thank you for listening. And you can find us anywhere you find podcasts. And we know times are tough out there. So we're just going to ask you on this one to just keep listening. And we're going to keep putting out content. And we hope everybody stays safe out there.
Bye, guys.